Last summer, I bought a random inflatable water slide for my son's birthday. It looked great online, but an hour into the party, a seam ripped, leaving 10 kids in a muddy puddle of tears. Finding a durable, fun, and safe backyard water slide is a nightmare with so many flimsy options out there. That's why I spent the last 3 months personally testing the top inflatable ridge water slides to find out which ones actually survive the chaos. Today, I'm ranking the top 5. Stick around, because our number 1 pick completely blew my expectations away. 5. Sunny and Fun Deluxe. I remember unpacking the Sunny and Fun Deluxe inflatable water slide park on a scorching July afternoon. The sheer size of the box was intimidating, but getting it laid out in the yard was surprisingly manageable. The heavy-duty nylon material felt relatively thick to the touch, and I had high hopes for its performance. Once we hooked up the included air blower, it inflated in under 3 minutes, revealing a massive structure complete with a climbing wall, a decently steep slide, and a splash pool at the bottom. The kids were instantly drawn to it, clamoring to be the first ones up the wall. As they started playing, I paid close attention to the features and how they handled the weight of multiple children. The climbing wall has well-placed footholds and grab handles that made it easy for even the younger kids to scale. At the top, a mesh netting enclosure provided a good safety barrier, which gave me some peace of mind. The water sprayers attached to the top of the slide kept the surface incredibly slick, ensuring a fast and thrilling ride down into the splash pool. For the first hour, it seemed like the perfect backyard oasis. However, as the afternoon wore on, my critical eye caught a few glaring issues that knocked this down to the number 5 spot. Despite the manufacturer's claims of heavy-duty stitching, I noticed several seams around the splash pool area beginning to stretch under the strain of just 3 average-sized kids. The blower, while powerful, was noticeably louder than others I've tested, producing a constant, grating hum that made conversation in the yard difficult. More concerning was a slight but steady air leak developing near the base of the climbing. 4. Costzon Inflatable Water Slide. When I first set this one up, I was immediately struck by its vibrant, multicolored design and the promise of a multi-play center. The unboxing process was fairly standard, and laying out the heavy-duty Oxford cloth felt reassuringly solid in my hands. Inflating the structure was a breeze, taking just a few minutes to fully erect the impressive dual slide setup. It looked like a premium piece of equipment that would keep a whole neighborhood of kids entertained for hours on end, and the initial excitement in my yard was palpable. The feature set on the Costzon is undeniably attractive, particularly the inclusion of a central climbing wall that leads up to 2 separate sliding lanes. This dual-lane design is brilliant in theory, as it drastically cuts down on the waiting time and allows kids to race each other to the bottom. The splash pool is also generously sized, providing plenty of room for kids to wade and splash around after their descent. Additionally, the integrated water cannon at the edge of the pool added a fantastic interactive element, allowing those in the water to soak their friends as they came racing down the slide. Yet, spending a full weekend testing this slide revealed some frustrating flaws that keep it out of the top 3. The biggest issue lies in the angle and construction of the slides themselves. They are surprisingly steep, but they lack a sufficient transition curve at the bottom, meaning kids tend to hit the shallow water with a jarring thud rather than a smooth glide. I actually had to add some extra foam padding underneath the pool area to prevent bruised tailbones. Furthermore, the material, while thick, proved to be a massive headache to thoroughly dry and clean. 3. Banzai Plummet Falls. I was genuinely excited to unbox this one, having heard a lot of buzz about its unique drop design. Setting it up was incredibly straightforward, and the Duratec construction material immediately felt superior to the previous 2 models. It felt less like a glorified bouncy castle and more like a purpose-built water slide. Inflation was swift, and the towering profile of the slide instantly commanded attention, promising a much more thrilling ride for the slightly older kids in my testing group. What really sets the Plummet Falls apart are its standout features, most notably the massive fill-and-spill water bucket positioned right at the peak of the slide. This bucket slowly fills with water from the hose attachment and then unexpectedly dumps a heavy cascade of water onto whoever is brave enough to be sitting at the top. It adds a hilarious element of suspense and chaos that the kids absolutely adored. The slide itself is quite steep, offering a genuine plummet sensation, but unlike the previous models I tested, it features a perfectly engineered curve at the bottom that effortlessly schemes riders across the surface of the splash pool. During my rigorous testing, the Banzai held up remarkably well to constant, aggressive use. The climbing wall is sturdy and doesn't sag even when multiple kids are scrambling up at the same time. I was also incredibly impressed by the stability of the entire structure. Even with older, heavier kids throwing their weight around at the top, the slide remained firmly anchored and showed no signs of dangerous tipping or swaying. The continuous airflow system kept the pressure perfectly balanced throughout the day without any of the annoying motor whine I experienced with lower-ranked models. 2. Little Tikes Rocky. Little Tikes is a brand synonymous with childhood durability, and I had extremely high expectations when dragging this massive unit into the yard. The setup process was seamlessly intuitive, requiring zero guesswork. The material quality is exceptional, featuring a puncture-resistant fabric that feels practically armor-plated compared to standard inflatables. Pumping it up took mere minutes, and the resulting structure is a beautifully designed, symmetrical play mountain that looks incredibly inviting and professionally engineered. The layout of the Rocky Mountain River Race is nothing short of brilliant. It features a central climbing wall that splits off into two beautifully curved, cascading slides on either side. This allows two kids to climb up together and race down simultaneously, which instantly cured the usual bickering over whose turn it was. At the summit, a surprise dump bucket randomly pours water over the climbers, making the ascent just as much fun as the descent. The splash pool at the base is exceptionally wide, acting as a great communal hub for kids to relax and while others are sliding. In my testing, this slide proved to be an absolute tank. I invited a dozen kids over to put it through the ringer, and it handled the chaotic traffic perfectly. The side walls of the slides are inflated high enough to prevent any accidental tumbles, and the central climbing wall is reinforced to the point where it barely flexes under weight. What I loved most was how efficiently the water circulated and drained. The design prevents those deep, stagnant pools of water that can make deflating and packing up a miserable chore. It dried out faster than almost anything else I tested. 1. Sportspower Powder Ridge. I'd seen pictures of this massive inflatable water park, but nothing prepared me for the sheer scale and excitement it brought to my backyard. Unrolling, it felt like setting up a professional carnival attraction. Despite its massive footprint, the heavy-duty blower inflated the entire complex in under 3 minutes. The construction is a premium PVC-coated polyester that feels incredibly rugged and resistant to both tears and UV fading, assuring me right away that this was a serious investment piece built for the long haul. The feature set on the Powder Ridge is absolutely unparalleled, transforming a simple water slide into a full-blown aquatic obstacle course. It doesn't just have a tall, thrilling slide. It integrates a massive splash pool equipped with dual heavy-duty water cannons. Kids can literally wage friendly water wars, defending the pool while others try to navigate the challenging climbing wall. The slide itself is perfectly pitched for maximum speed, but it ends in a long, gentle deceleration zone that safely glides riders into the water. It's an immersive, interactive environment that keeps kids engaged in a variety of ways rather than just climbing and sliding in a repetitive loop. Putting the Sportspower Powder Ridge to the test was a joy, mostly because it performed flawlessly under extreme pressure. I had teenagers and younger kids using it simultaneously, and the structural integrity never wavered. The seams are double, and in some places quadruple stitched, holding firm even when a line of eager kids bounced enthusiastically at the top of the slide. The water cannons are connected securely and have a great range of motion without leaking at the joints. Most impressively, the blower maintains a rock-solid air pressure that keeps the entire complex incredibly firm and supportive throughout hours of continuous play.